Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Monday, September 16th, 2024. I, of course, am with Originator Success. Here, the daily mortgage rate update, the only place on the web where you guys get to join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from Williamsburg, Kentucky. Now, Williamsburg, VA, Williamsburg, Kentucky this morning. Last day out, and then I'll be riding home with the love of my life this afternoon. We'll be taking the motorcycle and finishing up our ride. Anyway, great to have you here. If you're here this morning, say good morning. If you're watching on the replay, don't forget to give me a hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you were here. Let Facebook know that you were here. Feel free to jump ahead. I like to do my morning, the intros a little bit long, give people a chance to log on. Don't forget that you can smash that like button, tag an LO friend, share us with a group. Always appreciate you doing that. If you're on YouTube, go ahead, give us a thumbs up, that kind of stuff. Remember, you can also sign up for our free daily lock advice. Send an email to your inbox each and every weekday morning, www.ratelockadvice.com. You can sign up for our text alerts at www.ratetextalerts.com. Get a alert to your phone, get a morning text, an afternoon text, and an alert if we see reprice risk. Also, if you just want to be reminded by your phone that you have that we're going live, you could sign up for those reminders using this cool QR code here or hmmr.io/reminder. Also, if you would like, you can go ahead and see about learning how we can help you get loans from Google and social media. Check us out at originatorssuccess.com for more information on that. Let's go ahead and say hello to all the live folks. See who we got here this morning. Starting out the day with Mr. Mike Tebow. Good morning, sir. Great to have you here. Mallory Fotiadis. Good morning. Allison Foy. Great to see you. Giddy up, Mr. Randy Teakle. Hope all is well in your world. Angela Walters. Good morning and happy Monday. Rob Stewart. Great to have you here, sir. Tim Klyla. Great to see you, my friend. Jeremy Lowe. Morning. Ron Siegel said today is National Cinnamon Raisin Bread Day. Cinnamon raisin bread. That's my jam. I definitely like that as far as bread goes. Try to minimize my bread, but it doesn't always work. What about you, Ron? You like cinnamon raisin bread? A little bit of butter on it? Good morning, Ms. Megan Lindberg, Nicole Semerad, Mr. Mike Brown. No hat. Yeah, I'm still on my motorcycle ride. So I am topless because we had everything packed to the gills and there was nowhere for me to put a cowboy hat that wasn't going to get absolutely crushed. And as much as they talk about like those crushless hats, those are more like Outback hats, not really cowboy hats. So I am going lidless this week. Sun in the bun here. Anyway, Jeremy needs some great news. I got some good news for you. We don't know about great, but we got some good news, my friend. Candido Diaz, good morning, sir. Mike Morano, great to have you here as well. All right, Jeremy Lowe needs some good news. Let's go ahead and use that as an intro to get to the good news. The good news is that rate sheets today are going to be about the same as Friday. Maybe a little bit better for some, not too much so, but again, still in the low sixes for conventional conforming, depending on before the add-ons. Govies are in the fives. Bonds are starting with small gains, nothing big. I'm going to show you the charts in a minute, but we are pretty settled in as far as reprice risk on the day. It is low. You don't have to worry about things today. Tomorrow should be pretty quiet. Tomorrow we're going to get retail sales data, so it's going to have a little bit of an impact on the morning, but overall you're not going to see any big rate moves ahead of Wednesday. Of course, Wednesday is the Fed meeting. Conclusion of the Fed meeting with the Fed policy statement. Very important dot plot, the projections this time around from the different Fed members. And then, of course, Fed Chair Jerome Powell's press conference. We're going to talk more about that. Now, as far as the outlook, it's really important that we pay attention here because things are starting to pivot. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and show you the screens and the charts and everything in a minute, but we've seen a pivot between just early a week ago this time. Markets were 85% expecting that at the September meeting we would get a quarter point rate cut. There was about a 15% probability of an outlier that we would see a half a point rate cut. We've seen a swivel to that, pure pivot now. That has really changed. And we're also seeing on the Fed futures, markets starting to buy into the idea that we're going to see deeper cuts this year. So let's go ahead and I'll share my screen and we'll jump over to that. So let me come down here. As far as where does that put us for lock advice, as you see at the bottom of the screen, cautiously floating and floating everything else. So taking a look here, Let's go to the Fed futures first. I want to start here. So look at this. We are now very firmly. We went from last week. We had an 85% probability in this right hand column that we would see a quarter point rate cut, only a 15% expectation that we would see a half a point rate cut. Then we got Nick Timiraos over at the Wall Street Journal, the Fed Whisperer, basically putting it out there that we were expecting to see more rate cuts, right? And markets really reacted to that. And then over the weekend, we had Bill Dudley, who is an ex New York Fed president, New York Fed president, and now he's just a commentator for Bloomberg, but he was also commenting on why the Fed not only needed a quarter point rate cut or a half point rate cut, but why it would also make sense. He said the Federal Reserve faces a crucial decision: ease off slightly on monetary restraint with a 25 basis point cut, or go for a rare 50 basis point cut to fend off recession. What should it do and what will it do? The answers to these two questions don't necessarily have to be the same, but this time around, I think they will be. The tension between 25 or 50 has increased notably thanks to news articles, and this is the one from Nick Timiraos, that have pushed market expectations towards the larger move. As I noted last Friday at a Bretton Woods committee conference in Singapore, the logic supporting a 50 basis point cut is compelling. The two objectives of the Fed's dual mandate, price stability, which remember is getting inflation to around 2%, and maximum sustainable employment, have come into much closer balance, suggesting monetary policy should be neutral, neither restraining nor boosting economic activity. So that's what we call the neutral rate, right? Yet short-term interest rates remain far above neutral. The disparity needs to be corrected as quickly as possible. And he continues on in this article. So bottom line, what we want to be paying attention to is the fact that at the September meeting, markets are now expecting a half a point rate cut. You can see that here. And as we look where we get into November and December, those also starting to get much bigger cuts. The idea that we would see rates to 4.5 is about 50%, but there's about a 30% expectation we could see two half-point rate cuts. That's what it would take if we see a half-point rate cut here in September. It would take another half-point rate cut to bring us to 4.25. When we look for the year, we're seeing much bigger cuts. Remember, we're at 5.25 right now. The expectation originally was that we would see two quarter-point rate cuts. That would have brought us to 4.75. That's not even on the map here, right? 4.5 is barely on the map. 4, this is 1 point in rate cuts, is only 30%. There's 50% expectation it'll be more than that between 4 and 3.75. This is 1.25 rate cuts, which basically means that markets are expecting that we are going to see at least significant cuts in to come by November and December, even as much as bringing us down to 3.75. Very unlikely that market projections, that the Fed's projections, their dot plot, are going to support anything like this. So the question becomes, how does the market react to that? How does the market react to that from here? And, how likely is it that they expect the Fed to be able to follow through on this? And that's really what's going to set us up for this week. But as far as today goes, at the moment, we're down 2 basis points. A few minutes ago, we were up 3 or 4 basis points. It's all the same thing. There's very, very little difference when it comes to how much of an effect that's actually going to have on your rate sheets. Right now, taking a look at Mortgage News Daily, using that as a reference point here. Let's zoom in so you can kind of see it real clear. I mean, we've been dropping last week, right? We were up as far as, say, the 6.5-ish mark earlier in August. That dropped down to about 6.25. Now it's down to about 6.125 is kind of where we've been hanging out here with using, say, Mortgage News Daily as a reference point. Rate sheets this morning, the main thing to note is that this 10-year Treasury is still below 3.71. We're at 3.66 right now, and it's almost running flat. Shouldn't see too much of a move today, not much of a move tomorrow. Again, that's going to put us in a position. I'm going to go ahead and put it here. It's going to put us in a position where I think rates are going to improve a little bit further this week. The question is how much, right? How much is it going to be? And what does that look like? And what is the reaction to the Fed policy statement? And of course, Fed Chair Jerome Powell's press conference. So we're going to see the Fed fireworks on Wednesday. I would continue floating into that. I don't see any reason that we want to lock ahead of this. I I don't see a world where this really hurts us, but I am a little bit concerned because now that markets are pricing in the idea that we're going to get a half point cut, what if we only get a quarter point? How disappointed will they be? What if the projections come out, lower, much lower than expected, that we only get a quarter point cut? What if the Fed is much more conservative than markets want to see? We would see a very short term pullback on mortgage rates, but it would be only short term. I mean, over the next few weeks, we are absolutely going to continue to see rates continue to creep just a little bit lower at a time, holding steady to creeping lower. We're not at risk of seeing rates move up with any significance from here. We are not in a raising rate market anymore. Finally, that is behind us, and we have a lot less to worry about. Now you have to kind of deal with what are the expectations consumers have. I'm going to talk about that on September 19th. On this Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be doing a webinar. There's nothing for sale. It's not a sales webinar. This is just for helping y'all with scripting. A lot of people reaching out to me. They don't quite know what to say or do, where rates are going to be, what to say to that, et cetera. So we're going to go over, how do you have this conversation with consumers that are saying things like, well, I want to wait until rates, go all the way down. I want to wait until rates fall further. I want to wait until rates hit the bottom. How do you get a sense of urgency into these borrowers? When is the right time to refinance these borrowers? We're going to talk. I'm going to be talking about scripting on that, helping you with some conversations. We're going to be doing some role play on Thursday. So anyone that wants to attend that, I believe I'll be able to open that up to everybody. Randy said, "Will we have time for rate sheets out Wednesday prior to market movers?" Yes, Randy, because all the stuff happens in the afternoon. So the Fed meeting is at 2 p.m. Eastern time. The policy statement and everything will come out at 2 p.m. We'll get the dot plot and the policy statement. And at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to get the Fed Chair Jerome Powell and his press conference. So we will see rate sheets calm. We'll see some movement between now and Wednesday morning, but not a lot. It's Wednesday afternoon that the fireworks are going to start. It's likely to see rates improve a little bit heading into the Fed meeting as markets continue to ride the current momentum. You'll see bonds generally improve the morning of a Fed meeting. But I don't think you have to worry too much about things getting negative before that. But once we get that Fed meeting, it's going to be in the afternoon on Wednesday. That's when we'll see the most moves. So hope that helps y'all, my friend. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. We're going to finish up stuff and then hit the road. So I will see y'all tomorrow. Again, it should be another fairly quiet day tomorrow. I would expect right now, again, we were looking at bonds. They were down a couple of basis points a minute ago. I think that they'll end the day up about 5, 6, 7 basis points. I don't think it'll be much. Not anything we have to worry about with repricers today. Mike said, watch MBS at 2 p.m. with the announcement and keep an eye on them. Yeah, on Wednesday. Yes, on Wednesday. Absolutely. As we want to flow into the Fed meeting on Wednesday. And as we get closer, we'll talk about, having your finger on the trigger. It's really the press conference. But I think overall, even if the markets don't like what the Fed says, they'd have to be pretty emphatic that they're not looking to do something. Markets are currently expecting to see the Fed have to take action. So based on the latest labor data and recent, economic data. So Mike says he thinks that there's going to be a half point cut. Yeah. So we'll see. We will see. We will see. Ron Siegel and I have been going back and forth. Ron said he thought there'd be a half point cut. I said I thought it would be a quarter. And now we've moved last week with Mr. Nick Timiraos there making that article and some tweets. We went from markets pricing in a quarter point to now pricing in the half. So there's a move. We'll see where that goes. All right, my friends, I'm going to wrap it up. I'll see you guys next week. Make it a fantastic one. Ron said, okay, that's important. See, I don't follow that, Ron. Do you see that on Twitter, or you just follow him on Twitter, or I don't bother? Nick Timiraos, Sunday 9 a.m. tweet yesterday is pushing a 50 basis point cut. Yeah. So again, he could be, maybe he is, maybe they are leaking through Nick, and we will see that half point cut. If we do see the half point cut, markets are going to take that as an open door. What did I say next week, Mike? Did I say, what did I say about next week? The Fed meeting is this week. If I said next week, it's because I'm in last week mode. The Fed meeting is on Wednesday. So yeah, if I said anything about next week, then that's on me. Sorry to be confusing. But yeah, I think even if we do get that half point cut, I think markets will take that as an opening the door for the floodgates, opening the floodgates really. So, all right, we will talk more tomorrow, y'all. Take care. Make it a fantastic day. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.